going to start our session just now. We will wait for a number of people to come through. So yeah, again, thank you for coming. This project was publicly launched last week. That's when we went live. It's a combination of a number of discussions around how we can better support fintechs. Now, you know Bongo High from our work with entrepreneurs. We currently have about 18 partners, and over the years, our approach has been to make sure that we develop the right types of relationships and partnerships that help us to do the stuff that we are not good at. And the great thing is that UPSDF is a great technical partner of this project. They are good at what they do in the DFS space, and we are good at what we do in supporting startups and entrepreneurs. So we are putting our heads together and resources together to be able to support fintechs in this space. The other bit that would be of interest to you is that we're not just doing this alone, but we are also involving regulators. I remember when we had one of our meetings at the Bank of Zambia, just to get through the door, to get to set up a meeting, to actually start talking. It's not an easy thing. And there are a lot of startups that are still struggling to get through the doors of Bank of Zambia, for whatever reason. For some, it's just because they don't have a suite. But it's more than that, you know, the paperwork, the regulation that you need to understand, the paperwork you need to provide. So we know that there are challenges in that space. There are also opportunities. So we'll be working with regulators as well to ensure that it's a smooth process where we are all learning. So the good thing is that in discussions with regulators as well, they are open to trying to understand how they can better support disruption in this space, specifically fintechs. And so when you get into this, when you apply or you begin to interact with different players in this project, please understand that we all want to be as supportive and understanding, and also to try to change some of the things which may seem to be too much for startups or beyond the reach of startups. And hopefully that by the end of this process, and that it won't end, but by the end of this particular process, we will be able to create a more conducive environment for fintech innovation and also disruption. So I won't take too much of your time. For now, I would like to invite Kili from UNCDF, who will come and talk a bit more about the opportunity itself. So please, a hand for Kili.
Wow, that was such a welcome. Thank you. So I didn't prepare much. This is not. I'm just going to try to talk to you about what this program is all about, why we're actually here, and why we thought of partnering with Mobile. Okay, how do I go about it? John, technological change over here. I'm not going to read this word by word, but I think it would be amiss of me if I actually don't tell you a little bit of why we're actually here, but also just for my own personal benefit. How many people here know about UNCDF? Okay, the kind of work that we do. Those were a few hands, so it was more over here, so I'll stand over here. This one actually know about UNCDF. UNCDF, the way we actually describe ourselves is United Nations Capital Development Fund. We're sort of like a boutique UN. We do all sorts of things, but most importantly, like for here in Zambia, we have been here for a couple of years. We started operations in 2012. So our aim then, at a particular time, was to help to increase the numbers when it comes to financial inclusion in Zambia. That was our aim then. Now, we are in our next strategy, and this is something that is actually happening all over the world. Now we're actually looking at digital economy. We're not just looking at financial inclusion, but now we have to think about all other social economic viable things that people actually want in the economy. Not just financial inclusion. It's not just about getting a bank account, but what else can we actually do together? So when we're actually looking at working with the Bongo Hive, we have to come into partnering together to see how do we support the people who actually come up with products and services that are actually addressing the issues within the digital economy or the growth of the digital economy in Zambia. So, as you can read, like I said, I'm not going to be reading this for you. I'm just going to be telling you because some of the things that you can actually read by yourself. And then also, like did his little stint, but Bongo Hive, they're the people who go when it comes to issues around entrepreneurship, around innovation, around technology. And there's no better place for entrepreneurs to actually come and learn and actually grow than Bongo Hive. So combining both our resources, us as UNCDF as well as Bongo Hive, we thought that this is very important to actually come up with this FinTech4U. This is an acceleration program. Why are we looking at FinTech4U? Because in understanding that with fintechs, there are also issues around that are not properly addressed. When most financial service providers actually come up with products, these are not products that most of the times are not addressing a need. So it is also a problem that fintechs actually have. There's a new challenge in understanding who their customers are, what are their challenges, what are their needs. So in understanding this part, we thought, no, we could do a little bit better and help them actually navigate through this space. At the same time, also looking at the fintechs, if I have to be honest, most of the times you may not have the funding to go out to the market and test. That's true, right? I'm not speaking to myself, right? It is true, right? So this acceleration program is supposed to help you also get a little bit of funding so that you can go out there in the market, test, iterate about the product and see whether it is actually, fit for the market, fit for your audience. That's what we are all about in this FinTech4U program. So these are some of the challenges that we're actually looking at, some of the problems with fintechs. In my world, in the different fintechs that I've talked to, some of them say that they have a problem plugging in the bigger players. True? Yes? No? Maybe so? It happens, right? Even when you're looking for USSD, it's a problem. Open APIs is an issue. People don't want to help you with that kind of issue. So these are the things that we're actually looking at. Even when we're talking about regulators, we can actually talk about our meeting with the regulator. One of the regulators from the payment side said that when fintechs actually come up with products and services, sometimes you can come up with this beautiful product and services, you take it out in the market, but you have not gone through the regulations. Now the regulator will come back to you, Bank of Zambia will be like, no, come back. Because you have to go through this. So at the end of the day, this program is supposed to help you to navigate through regulation as to who do you need. As you saw in the beginning. In the first slide, we actually have Zambia coming in, we have actually Bank of Zambia, we have SEC, we probably will have other regulators coming in, including PACA. Are you registered? Do you have a VAT number? Are you aware that you're supposed to pay for your VAT? Are you aware? Or you're not aware? You're supposed to pay VAT at some point there. So the acceleration program is for 3 months. 2 months here, where you're actually going to take classes. You're going to go through the master classes, entrepreneurship, business management. You're also going to have access to different kinds of technical assistance. Technical assistance that will come from our end as UNCDF. Technical assistance that will also come from people like financial analysts that will be able to take a look at your product as well as even at your company. Technical assistance that will come even from the lawyers themselves, things that probably may not easily source or you may know where to actually go. And this is what we're actually looking at. The product, the FinTech4U went live on Friday last week. This is what we're waiting for, okay? We are looking at doing 2 sessions of this. This is the first one. So you have applicants. Applicants will not come. But 5 will be picked. That will go through the whole process the first time around. Then we will do it again. Then another 5 will also be picked. Because through the masterclass, we also have the regulators coming here to actually work with you. Because sometimes they also don't understand your language. Is it true? Do they understand? Do they know some of the things? So we also want to bring you guys together and say, how can you speak one language? And if they're actually coming up with regulation, is it regulation that is actually speaking to the fintech? that will actually help you grow in this space? Or is it actually hindering regulation for this space? And some of the outcomes that we are actually looking at, I think for me, I'll speak to the last one most importantly, is we're going to come up with a playbook. A playbook that is going to be a public document. This public document actually, what it's going to have is it's like the ABCs of how to set up a fintech. Who do you want to talk to? Is it sector? Is it partner? Is it Bank of Zambia? Is it SEC? Depending on the kind of product and service that you have to come up with. Is it speaking to capital markets? Is it speaking to financial inclusion? Is it speaking to youth, women? All sorts of things. But you need to be able to understand who you need to talk to. But you also need to be able to understand that as we are embarking on this journey, by introducing this product and services that we're actually going to come up with, there are certain things on your end, I think in the world of financial industry, it's actually called due diligence. So you have to be able to understand that due diligence will be on you to understand. So the FinTech4U for the playbook, the regular playbook, is going to talk about all that. But at the same time, we're also going to give you a little bit of money to go out to the market and test your product, especially for the 5 that will actually win the first time, that will go through the first time around, and the 5 that will go through the second challenge. So I think at this particular time, I'm going to stop here. There is a lot more, but I'm going to leave Simosa to actually walk you through as to who gets to apply. I know that most of you have already applied. I know that at this particular time, we have 33 people, is it 41 people that are 41 applicants? So this is huge. A lot of people really need a lot of help in this space. So, this is the help. Thank you. I need a little bit of more class like that.
Thank you, Kili. How are you? How are you doing, everybody? Great. So at Bomahard, what we've done over the last 3.5 years is run programs that support startups. How many of us have heard of Bomahard before, or how many of us are here for the first time? Yeah. So you've been here before, every single one of you. So you've probably heard us talk about Discover, and you've probably heard us talk about Launch. Discover is our 2-week bootcamp that helps people with ideas to work through those ideas before they get their startup started, to validate that those ideas worth starting. That's a startup worth starting. The second part is that we start work with any-stage startups and give them the support to grow that startup. And what we're doing with this FinTech program is that we are looking at helping these companies go through a 3-month process, which is similar to what we do in Launch. And then by doing so, we then support the startups to do it. So what we do is 3 months of intensive technical assistance that we go towards the startups. And how we do this is by running a program that runs over the 3 months, in which we have class, we have technical assistance, which is business coaching, and then working also with accountants to make sure everything is ready. And then we bring in sessions where we pull in the experts from the regulators like Bank of Zambia, human sector design experts, so on, to work with the different startups that you are. Now, if you look at why you're starting a startup, we hope that you're starting a startup because you want to build a viable business. Anybody doing it for any other reason? All right, great. So we're trying to make sure that you get the best advice, and also that you can make the best decisions during the end stage. So getting in contact with your customers, making sure you're building a product that your customers actually want, and which will then accelerate the growth of your startup. So a lot of what we've talked about here, for example, FinTech advisory from USCDF, including human centered design, data analytics, and others, will come in from teams like experts like the USCDF. We provide the technical assistance around building your company, 3 months of additional business support, which means that you'll be allowed during the time to work from this place. We offer co-working space through various partners like Liquid Telecom and NTN, who provide the internet that we have in here. Amazon and AWS that provide hosting for startups that come out of Bomahard. Musa Dudian company that provide legal advisory services, pro bono legal advisory services for the period that you're in the program. And so you will have access to all of these types of help once you're in the program, to be able to help you to make decisions and to know what type of contracts you need to have to proceed in placement. So it's things like tax advisory services from EY. We know who EY are, the accounting company. They come in and give you tax advisory services. AWS that I've talked about, business model, one-on-one advisory services, accounting and finance advisory services, and access to mentors, business mentors within the network who are able to talk to us. We've been able over the last 3.5 years to work with close to, within the launch program itself, close to 200 people that are starting businesses, and also been able to help people that have come out of the acceleration program raise, if we put the money together, it's over $1 million that they've been able to raise, which is money that has gone directly invested by investors into the different companies, and at different stages. So some companies have raised over $250,000. A lot of companies have raised just under $100,000 initially from angel investors, around $60,000 to $70,000. And we're beginning to see more and more activity starting to come in, and more people start to ask us about what companies are coming out of Zambia. We're interested in knowing what they do. So as part of the process, at the end of the process, what we expect you to walk out with is an understanding of your company, being able to pitch your company to investors, being able to design a proper deck that explains what it is that you're able to do, but also intimately understand the numbers that help you to run your business. So that is where we talk about introduction to funding, promotion, and travel opportunities. Sometimes the companies that we work with are introduced to travel opportunities when we get asked, hi, there's a conference happening in a certain country, or there's a startup competition happening in a certain country, which companies can pick up of Zambia? We make an introduction to the startup country. So by the companies that will go through here, they will then join the community of Bongo Hive startups that have access to all of these, and that includes free co-working space from this place for 6 months, beginning the time the program starts. So it's the first 3 months, and then an additional 3 months after, the program started. And then valuation of your company. So another thing that startups struggle with is knowing how much that company is actually valued at. So that when you're talking to an investor, you actually have a correct value in the process to do that. So an evaluator has been engaged to be able to value your company for the companies that are inside the program. So let's talk about who can apply and the process of applying to get into the program. How many of us have already looked at the website? Or let me ask, who hasn't looked at the website? Okay, all right. So if you look at the website, we've given criteria as to what type of companies should be in the. We've given criteria for what type of companies we're going to select to get into the program. And I think this is very, very important for us to all understand and realize why we're actually doing this. So that as you walk out of this session, you know what we're looking for. So that by the time you fill out your application, you know what type of, when we ask certain questions, you know what we're looking for when we answer those questions. So the first thing is we're saying that you must have a minimum viable product. Who's hearing about an MVP for the first time? What do we call MVP? So who's hearing about a minimum viable product for the first time? So you all know what an MVP is. All right, great. Since you know that what an MVP is, I can go to the next one. The second point is that you should have been running for at least less than 3 years. So 3 months to 3 years. Now, why have we started at 3 months? So why is it that we've said that you can't wake up this morning, fill out the form, and then we'll select you to be in there? We've given a 3 month allowance for you to be able to build your. We've given a 3 months allowance for you to be able to build your MVP. So your minimum viable product is at least something that we know that users. Now we count. Now you're going to find the question that we ask you for users and we ask you for customers. Who can tell what the difference is between users and customers?
It's a beneficiary.
User is a beneficiary of the service, great, and a customer. What's the difference? A user,
Customer brings revenue.
the customer brings revenue. Oh, great. So it's not always that the people that we find that it's not always the case that the people who use your service are people who pay for the service. So if I have to use a non-FinTech example, the simplest example is, how many of us are on Facebook? Careful, I'm not on Facebook. So how many people are on Facebook? And please don't make assumptions when you start filling out your answers. We want to get the closest to the facts. So how many people here on Facebook? Like I said, great. How many of you pay to be on Facebook? None of you. Really? So the person, because you're not paid to be on Facebook, as far as Facebook is concerned, the advertising on Facebook is who they count as their customer. Because the person advertising on Facebook is trying to access to make sure that their adverts are seen by the users of Facebook. So some of you might have platform ideas, platform idea is where you have a user and you have a customer, and we want you to be able to distinguish between how many users you have and how many customers you have, and that helps us to understand the business model behind your thing. So when you build your MVP, we're saying, it's okay if you don't have customers, can you prove that you've at least got users, that it's been tested, and that some people have actually used it. So we're not looking for a product that you and your friends have made, and then you say it's working, and nobody else hasn't used it. Like, have you actually had a certain number of people use it? And we're asking you to prove that some people have actually. It's out in the market, it's available, there's a website, or there's a technology, there's an app. It's something that some people can see, and in part of the process, you can give us a link to that so that we can actually see that. Then we're asking for scalability. So why are we asking for scalability? I think it's time that we get some ambitious companies out of Zambia in the fintech space, other than Zona and which other fintechs have gone out of Zambia. And I think there's and the genius of the company like Zona shows that companies can be built out of here. And so we're saying, we don't need you to prove right now that it can grow, but we need you to have an understanding to say, the problem that I'm solving here is a similar problem in another market and in another country. And that's why I believe that if we solve it correctly in Zambia, in 3 to 5 years' time, we'll be able to go into another country and we'll be able to solve it for customers in another country as well. You understand what I'm talking about there? So it's just being able to explain that. So we're not asking you to say you have contacts in another country now. We're just able to say, like, what problem are you solving? Have you recognized another country which is similar, which has a similar challenge? And that's where you potentially believe another set of countries, and that's where you potentially believe that you can actually get into those countries. Then we ask you to demonstrate some form of market traction. So that's what I was talking about. How many users actually have tested your platform? How many users are actually using your platform? How many people are actually, you don't need to take a picture, all of this is on the website. It's all on the website. I don't need sharing. I don't need sharing. It's already shared, it's on the website. There's nothing new here. So it's information, it's how many users are actually using you. And if you have customers, then how many customers are actually paying you to actually use your service currently. So if you're already in the market and people are actually using your service, that works to your advantage. And a special consideration will be given to people that have designed fintech products that target rural communities, women, and youth. So if you're trying to solve for people, you will get extra points for that. Now, you might not be solving for that. We're not saying don't apply. We're saying still apply, but then just understand that those who apply with these 3 might get an extra point, might get extra consideration if they consider that. Now, if you decide today that you're going to just throw that onto your thing as part of your application process, we'll know from the business model, say like, no, you didn't really think about it, and you just decided to add that. So just be honest and be truthful. In fact, this is something that I encourage people. If you're building a business, be as honest as possible at every single point that you can be, because it helps us during due diligence. In that most people think that we actually look at your business model. We actually look at the entrepreneur. And if we doubt you as the entrepreneur, then we're not confident about the business model. So be as honest as possible so that we can gain confidence in you, the entrepreneur. That's who we interview for. When we go through the process, we're actually looking for entrepreneurs that we can trust and entrepreneurs that we believe can actually deliver on what it is that they're actually doing. So to make an application, we are asking you to get to the website. So for those of you who haven't been to the website is at www.fintech4u.co.zm. Nice Zambian address there. And we're asking you to register. You've got until the 1st of November to finish your applications. How many of us have started the application process? Great, it's easy, right? Pardon? Yeah. It's easy. Yeah, great, good. So given that it's easy, we're expecting you to finish your applications tonight, so that we can start going through it. No, you've got some time. The good thing is that, like at this session, if you believe that if you think that you want to change some of the answers, the process that we've used is you can always go back and edit your answers before the 1st of November. Once it closes off on the 1st of November, you won't have that chance to edit on. So you've got some time to think about what it is that you want to say, and you've got some time to think about what it is that how you want to respond to the event. So the process opened on the 4th of October, which was last Friday, and then the process will close at 23:59 on the 1st of November. So At 17 hours, you're still going home and you haven't finished, you've still got a couple of hours before 23:59. After midnight. Now, who determines midnight? Airtel and MTN. After your phone says midnight, you can no longer apply to get your. Now, I'm not saying you wind your phone backwards. I'm just saying that as soon as the clock internationally says it's midnight, the system will automatically close. You cannot edit, you cannot add a new application, you cannot start the process. You cannot start the process of getting in. Is anybody afraid that they might not fill the application before? Does anybody think that the next 3 weeks is still too short for you to fill in the application form? Great, no complaints, so we'll keep it at 1st November. So, application started on the 3rd of October. We're looking at a second information session. So you've come to the first information session. We'll hold another information session on the 22nd of October. As you can see, that will just be about 1 week before we close applications. This is just to clarify, and this is an opportunity for those of you who've started the application process, if you do have questions, to come back and ask any questions that you do have if you decide that you want to do that. By the way, you are welcome to also ask any questions. You can communicate on the same platform. The same platform offers you an opportunity to ask. Please do not hold back from asking questions. If you believe there's a question there that you're not sure about, we want you to give your best answer. Remember, we are only choosing 5 companies to get into the first cohort. By yesterday, there were already 20 what? How many applications? 33, 41 today. By today, there were already 41 applications. So if you haven't started, understand that by today, there were already 41, and we are only choosing 5 to get into the program. So we want you to give your best applications. So feel free to contact us, feel free to ask questions, and we can't talk about your company for you, but if something is not clear, we can at least help you understand what the information we're looking for is for that point. Between the 2nd to the 28th of November, we will have our 1st November we close. 22nd to 2nd to 28th November, we go through a process of selecting. The process of selecting will include the first selection process, then interviews over a couple of days, where some of you who get through the first phase will then be invited to sit in front for us to have a conversation around what it is to understand deeply what it is you're doing, what your company is doing, what the proof is, for you to give us proof of the users, and so on, and help us understand what your plans for growth are, and what type of help you actually need once you get into the program. And then after that, on the 29th of November, you will get an announcement of which 5 companies have actually gotten into the program. Is that clear? Any questions? So on the 29th of November is when you know which companies have actually gotten into the program. So let's go through the process of you getting started. So if I choose to visit the website, browse over it.
I'm going to send screen, so you just have to drag it.
Yeah, you can drag it. Just give me a second to get this. Okay, so this is the website with all the information you need all the information you need. And like I was saying, everything you've seen inside the presentation is information which is already here on the website. So the important dates that you need to know are there. Information about the program is here. A bit of the background about both of the organizations that have come together to work on it. What we felt was what startups need. If you believe that we're wrong there, please let us know so that we can correct that and we can still plan it in the program correctly. So if you say, okay, great, challenge fintech startups do not have that program, please feel free to let us know. We're open to get feedback from you. And then we know that fintechs are not always, we know that fintechs address different areas. So we're giving you examples of places where you can have a startup trying to do something. So some are working in payments, you might be working in insurance, you might be working in the capital markets. So capital markets is helping people to invest in the stock exchange and so on. So if you do something around that, that's an interesting area. You might be lending money, you might be doing digital banking, you might be doing real estate, you might be helping people provide business solutions, financial business solutions. You might be in the cryptocurrency area. You might be working around verification of information using blockchains. You might be doing authentication, personal finance, credit scoring, and regulatory. We might not have put it there, but you might have a solution which we shouldn't have put in there. So don't feel limited by what we've put there. I've got a funny feeling most of you are doing wallets. Am I wrong? Which is a terrible day in my opinion. But anyway, it will be 3 months. Like I said, what you get as benefits from the program. All listed down there, and then an explanation of how we're going to select the different companies. So this is the information around the different things with definitions on how we define market traction and how we define minimum viable product already linked for you there, so that it's very clear. Our timeline, as explained to you, is there, and then to apply, simply click on the Apply Now button. It will take you to an application form that is placed on another website called F6S, which is this stage here, and it might not be like this when you decide to get there. If it's the first time that you're going there, to ask you to either sign up using your Facebook, LinkedIn, or something like that, or Google to be able to sign on. You sign in, it asks some preliminary information about user data, but then after that, it gets into your thing. Important question for you to answer is: are you a team or are you alone in your business? If you have a team, click the Create Team button. And then you go, it's just me. If you're alone on your team, you click, it's just you. Then you start to fill out the questions. A lot of information is about your personal information, who you are. You want to get to know who the business person is. Select which sector you're actually working in. You could be providing a financial solution in agriculture, energy, education, or health. If not one of those sectors, just click on Other here. And then you can explain which sector it is that you're working in. The type of product or service that you are providing can be, with the category that you're dealing with, can be placed here. If not here, click Other and then fill out one of those. And then describe the business within 200 characters. Now, first challenge: who's had a problem describing your business in 200 characters? 200 characters is what? An SMS, close to an SMS, right? Do you need more space? Huh? Who said yes? You did. All right, great. Now, the reason why we've asked you to do that is that we think that if you have an opportunity to talk about your business, we want you to get straight to what it is that you provide. Right now, we're not asking you about the history of your business. We're not asking you about what you did with your business. We want you to simply say, we offer a savings product for X, Y, and Z market. That's all we want, and that's why we've limited it to 200 characters. We just want a one-liner that focuses on exactly the product. So if it's savings, you just say, we offer a savings product. If it's a transfer product, we offer money transfer services for X, Y, and Z customer. That's all we want to hear in that 200 characters. So that's why we're going to leave it at 200 characters. So where's your business located? We want to know which city you're in. This competition is only limited to Zambians, so please mention a Zambian city there. We're not saying you can't be in Germany, but at least for now, make sure that you're operational in Zambia. How long have you been in business for? Are you registered with PACRA? If you notice, we've said there it is not mandatory that you're registered. Why have we done that? Some of you may have started, you're in the early stages of testing, and you may not have gone and done registration yet. So what we're saying here is, because remember, we're working with the regulators to bring the regulators to help you to register properly, is we're saying we're not penalizing you for not being registered. So if you're not registered with PACRA, we are not penalizing you. If you're not registered with BOS, we're not penalizing you for that. We just want to know if you are. So it doesn't mean that if somebody is registered with PACRA and you're not registered with PACRA, we'll consider the guy with PACRA more over you. Is we are going to consider the business model first and foremost before we come back to whether or not you're registered. In this case, we won't consider it. Are you aware of who your competitors are in the space that you're getting into? What's the advantage that you provide with your business? Have you received any funding? Have you funded it yourself? Have you been able to raise funding from elsewhere? Do you have any customers? Are you registered? Now, here at this point, we want to know, as a business, how many customers you have. This product that you have might be one product amongst other products that you have, but we want to know overall as a business, how many customers do you have? Then we want to know how many active customers you have. So the difference here is, customers are people that have used your business before. Active customers are customers that you have seen in the last 3 months. So if the customer came and bought from you 1 year ago, we do not count that as an active customer. They came, they went, they never came back. We do not count that as an active customer. So we want to differentiate between those because we want to know how active your business is. Then the product or the service that you want to bring into the program, that's the difference. You have a company might have different products. And you might say, the product that I want to bring into the program is, I want to bring in my wallet that does the following thing. Then talk about that product. Yes, ma'am.
How many words are we limited to those out?
These others you're not limited. Right. Essays are not an advantage. Be as clear and to the point as you can be. Just some advice. Yes, ma'am.
Does it come at a disadvantage if, say, you don't have customers or users?
It depends on whether or not you've actually built the. It depends on not if you will or not whether you've actually built the product. Now, if you've built the product and it hasn't been tested, they'll have the question of like, okay, great, you've built it, you're happy with it, but how do we know that the customer is actually happy with it, or how do we know that the users are actually who has actually tested it? That's all we want to know when we talk about customers or users. So depending on the stage that you're at, we will make considerations for that. So it's not a total disadvantage, but it's something that helps us to get it helps us to give a consideration as to whether beyond yourself, somebody else has actually used this product. Yes.
That goes to that. So you put out a situation where maybe the product is pending license approval.
Great. Then next you can explain that.
Yeah.
You can explain that in the process of the application. Say that we have made an application with the Bank of Zambia, and we're actually currently awaiting license approval at this stage, at this stage of the application.
Yes, so mine was concerning the MVP.
Yes.
So let's say, so I'll give a personal example.
Yes,
so,
sure.
So unfortunately,
why is it unfortunate?
well, because our MVP, so we don't have an MVP, but that's only because the team is made up of students.
All right.
And it's final year students.
All right.
So we haven't had time to work
To
with
build an MVP.
Exactly.
All right.
Like, so I wanted to ask if we don't have an MVP, but you spoke about having a business that's is scalable. What if our business model is one that has some credibility, but we don't have any?
All right, great. The way the program is designed is that it's a very practical program. So it's not class. So we're not designing a program where you come in for class and then you're getting lectures every single day around what it is. What you will learn during class, you need to practice during the day. So when we come in for business coaching, the questions that you'll be asked by coaches are based on a product that has to actually be in the market. So when you get feedback, we want to get feedback. Say, okay, great, test this in the following market. So even when you're talking to the regulators, they'll be asking you to test things in the market and then get feedback on what you're working on. So if you don't have an MVP, then it becomes theory. You'll be in the program for theory, and for 3 months we'll just be telling you, so when you have a customer, treat them like this. But then you won't have the practical knowledge of actually carrying it out inside there. So that's why we're going for companies that have an MVP. There's a second cohort coming up. Maybe hopefully by that time you'll complete your MVP.
You know, a question, are you planning to have an MVP in the next, this one is gonna take about 3 years?
You can build an MVP.
You can build, I mean, if you have a business model that actually is scalable, then an MVP is the next thing. That's why you actually have, what is the name of your product and service, because that's what we want to help you with.
So let me demystify. Yeah, let's demystify this famous MVP for you. We're not minimum viable products. Minimum and viable are the two words that you should concentrate on. We're not asking you to build out all the features you've dreamt of. Can you start off with one feature? That's all we're asking for. Can you build out the one feature? If it takes you the next 2 weeks to build out that one feature, brilliant. That's your MVP.
Okay, but we still want our customers. Because we need a nice effect.
My guy. So here's some interesting ways of building out an MVP. So in some cases, all you do is build a website, isn't it right? Explain your value proposition of what you want to offer. Put an advert on Facebook that says, "Hi, I have X product that helps people to do the following thing online. Would you be interested?" Let people click on that. If they fill in their email address and they read up on your product and say, "Would you be interested?" Give us your email address and give us your email address and give us your phone number. And you come back and show me, "Hi, I've got 50 people that are interested in me solving the problem by doing this." That's a start. You've got a minimum viable product because you're able to showcase what it is that you're going to do online. And remember, I said, I don't want to see the features. I just want to know that people are interested in what you want to do, and you've tested that online. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So I'm not asking you to go and build a full guide, please. We're starting from the scratch here so that we can help you to build your product and make sure it gets correctly aligned and gets into the market. Instagram started with one feature. Take a photo, put it up. Change the filter. There was no conversations, there were no comments. Those of you who are already on Instagram, if you remember Instagram, now you can even DM people. Now you've got videos you can send to one another. But they started off with one feature. Take a picture, put it up. That was the MVP. It went into market. People started using it, and then they started adding the other features later on. You're starting a startup, and we expect that you're starting a startup. We are okay with working with the one feature that you have, or you at least testing how many people are interested in your product. It's not complicated. We've made it as simple as possible for you. We're just trying to avoid us theorizing here and just having sweet conversations about it. Imagine if you had customers. Imagine if you had people who are interested in what you're trying to do. That's what we're trying to run away from. We're trying to get to the most practical place that we can start from at the most minimal place. So don't be frightened by the MVP. Read up, watch videos on YouTube about the MVPs, and you'll notice it's the simplest thing that you can do. It shouldn't take you more than a week to build an MVP.
And actually,
if it takes you more than a week, then I'm scared.
because of this product that's actually going to have, remember, you're going to get technical assistance, okay? Some of you have actually tested the product. Some of you haven't tested the product. Some of you are not even aware, like some of the technical assistance that we actually talk about, the human-centered design. Do you actually understand what human-centered design is? Do you know what it means? Some people don't know. Like, has it been tested with real humans, if I have to say that? Okay? Has it been tested with women? Has it been tested with, with youth? So that's where, when you actually have the product, then you will have to iterate and say, okay, can it work now? Maybe there was a desire for it. Maybe people actually were interested in it. But now, from a small scale to a large scale. So these are the things that you actually are going to benefit and get assistance from after get into the component. So first we have to have a product before we can do anything else, because without a product, there's nothing for us to be able to help you. You have to be able to focus on the product, focus on your strategy. Be able to help you say, okay, fine, have you thought about this? Have you got this? Can you check this out? Is it really fitting the space or the sector in which you actually are targeting? So these are the things that we're actually looking at, but it has to start with something that is the minimum, like you said, even if it's just as one feature.
Yeah.
We work with that. Make sense?
Great. So in short, I'm saying, for example, if you build a product for students, just prove that students would be interested in this product. That's all we're asking you to do, is prove that you've got something that students will be able to. And I'm not saying no because you did something, but then just at least how you could. And if you're worried about how you want to do that, ask me or ask us afterwards. We can work through how you can do it. So, what idea, what prototype, and are you in the market? If you're already in the market, how many users have you had? How many customers have you had? We've already talked about users and customers. Do you need clarity around that? Okay, great. What makes your product or service unique? So, given who your other people are, who might be your competitors, remember, competitors are other services that you might not be thinking about that help your customer achieve the same result. Your competitor is not always direct. So, when we say Coca-Cola who's Coca-Cola's competitor? Right, we always think Pepsi, right? But if Fanta helps the customer also, if Fanta helps, they are the same company, but you understand the example I'm trying to give you. If Fanta helps the customer, what's the customer trying to achieve? Quench the thirst, right? If water helps the customer quench their thirst, then it's also considered a competitor. You understand where I'm coming from? So you've got to be able to explain why is your product unique. Then who are you targeting, depending on the type of market that you're going for, and then we explain the program and what type of help would you need. We talk about where you get information about the program from. I will come in towards the end. Then we talk about your team, who is on your team, who isn't on your team, who works full-time, who works part-time on your team, how many females are on your team. What are your business contacts so that we know who to contact when we're getting information about the program. Then final piece here is we ask you to go to another website here. Please fill this in. So it's, I can click that. It's another survey that you do to get to assist that you answer questions. If you complete that, you say yes. You give us terms that you read through the terms and conditions, saying Bongai will be nice to you during the program. And then fill out the terms and conditions. And if you've got other people, this is not a must. But if you think that there are people that you would like to give recommendations to say, hi, I know this lady, she's built a good startup. I've worked with her. I mentor her, and she does amazing things. I believe she can do everything that she says that she'll do. You can put their email there and request. They'll fill out a recommendation for you. Hopefully, we'll read it and hopefully we'll believe them. And that'll come back and fill out and support what it is that you're doing. If you don't have any referees, that's fine. You won't be penalized for not having referees. We're just giving you the opportunity to say, you know what? My uncle is the governor of the Bank of Zambia and I know him. So maybe that's why you should consider me. Not that you need any extra points. So easy, right? Awesome. So questions and answers. Any questions from anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Earlier you said that the business used to be in existence for
3 months to 3 years, yes.
Yeah. So if when you say 3 months, you mean up to the 1st November or 3 months? What's the?
Very good question. 3 months by 1st November.
By 1st
November, yes. 3 months by 1st November. So by the time we close applications, we should be counting backwards and seeing 3 months. Yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to ask you about business type.
Yes, business type.
Yeah, I see the list, of course, but I just want to know if accounting software is part of FinTech.
If accounting software helps people make better financial decisions, yes, it is. It's a technology, and it helps people make better financial decisions. So fintechs are not always money being transferred or money being paid. It's also helping people make better decisions in the finance space. Yes, it's considered a fintech. But you just have to be clear about why you're better than the others that are in the market. Because really, you're competing in a market that there are other people. So that's the only advantage. That's the advice I'll give you. So yes, it will be considered a fintech. Yes, sir.
What would be the timing of the sessions?
Okay, great. So generally, when we run the programs, we expect that. Remember, we expect that your building actually we're giving you a bit of money to actually work. Now, please, when we say a bit of money, understand the word bit. Don't come here with dreams of $100,000. Yes, now work to the extreme side, on the other side. Don't, it's not 50, it's way lower than that.
No, but I think we have been very clear. It's on the website.
The amount is there on the website.
We need to repeat it.
It's $3,000.
$3,000.
So each company in the program will get $3,000 to help you continue working on your product. So we're expecting that you're actually going to be working on growing your product during the time that you're in the program. So we've designed that the classes are going to happen once a week, once or twice a week, depending on the circumstances, once or twice a week, from 18 hours to 20 hours. We expect you to be working on your business, so that's why we do them in the evening. However, advisory sessions will happen in the afternoon. So you will be booked to come in for a 1-hour session of business advice, or you book to do a 1-hour session of financial or accounting advice, or 1-hour session with an expert or a mentor. Those will be booked during the day, and it might be 1 hour or 2 hours in a week where you just say you come in, you do 1 hour, and then you can go back to work. Or you come in 1 hour and you go back to go back to your business, preferably your business. Yes, somebody else. Yes, sir. You are for you. Yeah.
Who's got sight to the feedback that we give?
Who has sight to the business, the feedback that you give?
Yeah.
It's the employees of Bonga Hive, it's the employees of UNCDF and other judges that we will have to help us select the companies that fit into the program, which might include the regulators and other people. Are you worried about that?
Interested in knowing
whether your idea will be stolen. One read the terms and conditions.
Or it stays within the stakeholders.
All right, great. If you read the terms and conditions,
Yeah.
covers that.
Covers that.
Yes, the terms and conditions cover that. 2, it breaks Bonga's business model if we share your ideas with other people that will be your competitors. We work on a basis of trust with all the companies that we have dealt with. We have worked with over 500 companies to date, and we have never shared your business ideas with a competitor. We actually even see various companies with the same idea. I'm almost convinced that Zambians are very poor at ideas.
But also the speaker.
Because you all come with the same idea. You all come with the same idea. So don't feel very special about your idea. And yet, maybe you do have a good one. Maybe you do have. Please impress me. That's all I'm trying to say. Please, I'm trying to be impressed. Please impress me.
You can impress me. But from the UN side, we are supposed to be neutral at any given time.
Exactly.
We do not give out information unless you want us to give out information.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, we
So-
neither do we.
So, us also going into partnership with Bongo Hive is an understanding that our interest on this part is the same. This information is going to be kept confidential. Only very few people will have access to it, and the few people that will have access to it, like they already explained, is Bongo Hive, the team that is actually part of this, as well as the UNCDA, as well as the judges that will actually bring on board, because we don't want to think that we have polluted. Like Bongo Hive and UNCDF have decided, oh, this one is going to be the way to do it. There has to be other people who are actually independent of who we are,
Yes.
who have to be able to help us with this.
Yes. Yeah, because it's very important that you also get the confidence that the companies that are selected are not friends of Siemens. That's why we're using other people to help us to select the companies that get into the program. Great. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I wanted to find out at what extra length are you planners going to help the startups to get regulated? Are the regulators just going to come speak to us and then they go, or you will help until the license is out within the license, or it's just the talking and then they go?
All right. So in talking with the regulators, some of their concerns. So you are concerned, the regulators are concerned. So which is a good thing, is that one is not saying I'm tired of applications, and you on the other side they're saying, listen, my application is not going through. So which means what we're seeing is there's a problem here that needs to be fixed. Because one is saying I'm not seeing enough applications, the other one here is saying that, but then your concern is that it's taking too long. So when we talk to the regulators, they say their concern when we talk to the regulators is they say the companies that come in and file in don't bring in all the information in the correct order, so which means we keep pushing it back and say correct this, or give us this information, or add the following information, and what would have taken 3 months ends up taking 1 year, because when you come back, it goes back to the beginning of the process. So in your head, you're saying it's taken me 1 year. In their head, it's taken you 3 times at 3 months. So it should take 3 months, but because you were missing a paper, you went and collected that paper, and then you came back, you're starting again from scratch, and you're taking another 3 months again for them to go through your process. What they're hoping for is by going through the program and by working with you, is that you have a very good understanding from the very beginning, before you take your papers there, about everything you need to give them. So we're trying to bring them to have a conversation with you, to sit down with you and then say, okay, great, what's missing, what should be there, so that before you take the papers, actually hand it over to them. By the time you're actually going to hand it over to them. So, PACRA, for example, if you have all your paperwork in order, PACRA should take 4 hours to give you your company registration. You do know that, right? Yeah. If you have all your papers in place, it only takes 4 hours for them to give you your company registration. But if something's missing, then they'll tell you, go back, come back. Then the story you tell is, it took me 2 weeks to register a company. You understand where I'm coming from. So the idea here with working with the regulators is to help you, first of all, understand that. 2, to help the regulators understand how they can create what we call a sandbox. So the idea being is that because your companies are startups and you're just starting out, what we've told them, the conversations we've had with the regulators is, startups are just figuring out whether or not there's a market for what they do. So they have a brilliant idea and they're figuring out what they're trying to do there. So a sandbox is a place where the regulators say, okay, great, can you test out your idea maybe in Lusaka only, and let's see whether customers actually respond to it. And if they respond to it, because you might have come up with an idea that they haven't thought about regulations for years. So which means, try your idea, we are aware about it, let's continue monitoring you, and then in the process of monitoring you, we can then come back and say, okay, great, these are the regulations we need to put in place, and these are the things you need to put in place. So we can give you minimal regulations for you to at least start, and then once we figure out what you're trying to do, then we can say, okay, great, we're not regulating you in the same way we regulate a bank. We know that, okay, great, since it's working out, all the safety mechanisms are there, we know that customers are going to be safe, then we can say you can expand to other cities and you can expand to other towns. So it's putting all of these things together that we're trying to work with the regulators to figure that out, to make sure that in the process of doing so, we have an environment that is good for you to start when you're starting your fintechs. I hope that answers you.
It sounds good.
Okay, great.
But
How it works.
But we're also not
We're all figuring this out.
we're going to be figuring this out as we go together. I'll give you an example. There was one time in my previous life where I had to apply for a renewal of the license, at the Bank of Zambia. For example, where I come from is called the Z Bank. Now, the process to which and how they actually categorize my organization required more paperwork on our end. So not only were they looking at who are our customers, how many customers we have, how many are registered, how many are active, but they're also looking at the management itself of the organization. They're looking at the co-founders, but they're actually looking at what is the capital ratio, what is the sharing, how long has it been, have we been declared bankrupt at some point. So this is too much paperwork. So sometimes, especially with the sandbox, what regulators will actually allow is that they'll actually loosen some of the regulations. They actually tell you, okay, for you, right now, you can work within these boundaries. That means that you also have limited services that you can offer.
Yes.
But as you're growing, they can actually increase the requirements, but they also give you, like, let's say, Finca, where I come from, Finca used to be a microfinance, but everyone, it also has the banking license. Okay, so these are grading. So the licenses upgrade as you go and as you try to actually increase your product basket. So this is something that is going to happen as you grow. So while you're here, in the 3 months, and even after the 3 months, you need to make sure that your company has been registered because you will have access to them during this time. Talk to them like you say, oh, it's not fully registered. You have time to them. What's going on? What is needed? Okay. where's the hiccup?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the time where you understand, you have a rare time.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful moment.
Yeah, and two things to make clear about the regulators is from the conversations we had with them is they want to see more fintechs in the industry. They actually want to see more fintechs in the industry. They're keen to see that. They actually complain that there are not enough fintechs applying to get for the market that is Zambia. Two, they understand that there might be one, and so they want to cover that knowledge gap to make sure that you understand how they operate. But remember that the job of the regulators, the first job of the regulator, understand where they're coming from as well. So when we hear them being strict, understand where they're coming from. The first job of the regulator is to protect the customers. So that's where they're coming from. So remember that they always come with that mentality of, I need to defend people. So are you doing everything to make sure that the customers are going to be safe? So when you're dealing with them also, it's not because they don't want you, it's just that they also need to make sure that their first job is actually fulfilled. Yes, ma'am, you had a question. You had your hand up.
You mentioned that the successful applicants will be given a position to hold office here.
Yeah, to work from here. That's true.
How much time will they be expected to be here to have an expectation of them to be present every day, or they can come several days a week?
It's your business.
Okay.
If you have offices elsewhere, we're not saying you have to be here. If you have offices elsewhere, be where you're comfortable, where you work comfortably. But the meetings will be held here. Yes, it will.
I don't know, there's something I saw about travel. I just want to know what context.
So the travel context is opportunities that we're offering as a benefit to the people that get into the program. So back into it is that Bongo Hive generally will get people asking Bongo Hive to say, hi, we're looking, investors who contact us and then say, we play a middle role in saying investors come to us and say, hi, we're looking for companies to invest in. Can you give us information on companies that you might have in your portfolio? We might ask the investor to say, which companies are you looking for? They say, walk away, we're looking for companies in the financial space. We then share, you give us a deck, we then share that deck with the investor to say, here are companies in the financial portfolio. By the way, you have given us permission to do that. So then, here are companies in the financial portfolio, have a look at these and let us know if you're interested in any, then we can put you in contact with some of those. Sometimes we get requests that say, hi, we're holding a conference or we're holding workshops for fintechs in another country. So by having you in our portfolio, we'll be able to say, these are fintechs in the portfolio that we can say, yes, you're inviting them to come to whatever country to attend a conference or to attend a workshop or to attend a business. These are some companies you can contact to be able to do that. So it's in that context. Great. We're not issuing out tickets anyhow. We're waiting for invitation. When people are invited, we pass the on to you, the startups. So you will notice that Bongo Hive startups probably, there's a startup from Bongo Hive traveling probably every other month or something like that. It's because of invitations we have made to assist the companies. Great. Any other questions? Awesome. You guys have been great. The team behind you there all work for Bongo Hive and the UFCDF. You are welcome to ask them any questions. They have been kind enough to set out drinks and snacks for you. We know it's a Thursday. The single people amongst you might not want to go and cook, so there's some food there. Have fun. Enjoy yourselves.
All right, thank you.